It's time for the SP and Bushy Show. Here's your hosts, SP and Bushy.
What were best sports scenes? What were like the top like sports scenes in a non-sports movie? And we found out too that we didn't really have a lot of like there's really not a lot of like sports scenes in like non-sport movies, but I was able to find some. You were able to find some of the TV realm, so that's going to be the case. He's going to probably do a lot more TV. I'm going to do a lot more of the movies as well. But I ended up finding a lot or a good handful. But it's just kind of curious. It's always fun to see a sports scene in a non-sports movie.
Certainly is. I'm very excited to talk about it. I mean, I'm a movie buff. You're a movie buff. I mean, let's chat it out. Let's get it started.
Yes, let's get it started. For me, one of the top scenes for me is the football scene from Point Break. Obviously, you have Keanu Reeves. It's Johnny Utah. He's a former Ohio State quarterback, and it was a really good beach football scene. He was hitting some quick slants as well. There was obviously some safety blitzes going on with Patrick Swayze knocking out Johnny Utah. And then obviously, Utah running down Swayze in the ocean as well. So it was with the football field. I don't know how long it was. That's really the only nitpick. But overall, it was a very, very good game. And you had Lori Petty too in there. She was there getting in with the guys as well. So a very mixed bag of great football.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, Johnny Utah was one of the players even that the Rich Eisen show did like a fake draft profile a few months ago on. And I mean, obviously, he's a guy, and we've seen it with Keanu Reeves, a guy who can play that quarterback position convincingly. Did so in The Replacements as Shane Falco. And obviously, it's Johnny Utah, too. Another really good quarterback performance by Keanu Reeves.
Yeah, he was good. He seemed like he was hitting his players. His form was really good as well. They were running a ton of trick plays, and he threw a long bomb, too, that fooled Swayze as well.
Awesome. That's a good one.
All right. What do you have?
I got me Vader versus Jake the Snake Roberts on a WWE themed episode of Boy Meets World. And this is like it's a funny episode because you have Corey, who's kind of stuck in the middle of wanting to be at the Topanga Sweet 16 party, but also getting dragged to like the wrestling matches by like the Skull Bully, who's trying to reunite with Vader, who's his father on the show. And so he's like running back to both places and like giving like advice to Vader as like his manager, but then also running back to the Sweet 16 party. But it's also a good like WWE themed episode with Jake Roberts and Vader.
Oh man, I totally forgot about that. Oh geez. Oh, that brings back some memories. Yeah. Where was this Sweet 16 party where he was able to go from one here to another, as well. So it very kind of curious with that. But yeah, it was always cool when WWE gets in or when it gets into some episodes as well. And this one, they included Vader. It wasn't like The Rock or Stone Cold Steve Austin or Triple H. It was Vader, so that was the unique part.
Yeah, it was Vader and Jake the Snake Roberts, and for some reason, Brother Love was doing commentary for no real reason. But again, it's funny. It's a good episode, and again, it also does the WWE thing right.
Yes, all they could afford was Vader, so they had to. So they couldn't get commentary for Vince McMahon or Jerry the King Lawler.
Exactly, they couldn't afford good old JR on the commentary desk.
Yeah, they couldn't afford everybody, but it was great to see, and yeah, Vader ends up winning the match. Am I correct?
It is correct, yes.
Yes. So yeah, and we all got the happy ending at the end, and we got to enjoy our TGIF sitcom.
Exactly. Yeah. What do you got next?
Next, I got the basketball game from Three Ninjas. Yes. A very interesting game. I actually prefer the extended version or the kind of ones with like deleted scenes rather than the regular one. they're actually playing for something rather than like the bikes or like respect like in the theatrical version. And they actually do win the game in the theatrical version compared to losing the game in the extended version as well. But it's just like it's a very interesting 2-on-2 game as well. Obviously, you got a kid, basically dunking the basketball. 10-year-old kid dunking kind of the hoops that we had when we were in elementary school. So think about that. But overall, a very good scene, and really had nothing to do with the plot of the movie. But it's just, hey, they needed a basketball scene. Let's put it in.
I haven't seen Three Ninjas in 25 years, so I can't really contribute much on this scene.
It's on Hulu. I actually highly recommend it. Go back and watch it. It's really good.
Excellent.
What do you have next?
Up next, I'm gonna go. Obviously, Adam Sandler's had plenty of sports scenes in his movies, but you got to go to the first one, and you got to go to the dodgeball scene in Billy Madison. It's a horribly bullying scene, but again, it's hilarious. The dodgeball, he just starts wailing on all these kids. It's a lot of fun. It's very funny. And it's, an adult just whipping a dodgeball at minors. It's almost like that Peyton Manning UNICEF sketch from or United Way sketch from SNL, where it's just an adult just whipping children with a ball, and it's hilarious.
It's funny. Anytime when you have like a grown adult hitting kids and somehow it's a funny, you got to name it a great scene as well. And it's just like, now you're all in big trouble. And he's smacking this kid, and he hits a kid right in the stomach too. Thankfully, no, now the head or the nether region is hurt in this process. But yeah, just overall, just a great scene. It's just Sandler and his comedic timing. With now y'all are in big trouble. And then he goes off.
And you got to look at its impact on the world of sports, because now you see a lot of teams playing that clip on the Jumbotron, that now you're all in big trouble, scene. And so you see that a lot now played at stadiums. And I think, you got to look at its impact on the sports world and say it definitely did its job.
Yes, it's definitely an impact, and just a great scene and a great movie, and just overall, I never thought about that. That was a good one, Sean.
Excellent. What do you got next?
All right, next, I'm going to throw a little curveball at you here. The Quidditch match in Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone. I don't know if did we mention this in our time machine?
No, we didn't.
I completely forgot about this. This should have been in my time machine. I'm going to the first one with the Sorcerer's Stone because that felt like the most complete Quidditch match out of all the Quidditch scenes that we got in the Harry Potter movies. So that was just overall just a great show. Obviously, you have Harry Potter getting the golden snitch with his mouth and all that. You have the Goldie getting knocked out by a bludger. It would have been an overall nice little free-for-all to see.
It would have. That would have, obviously to see any sort of Quidditch match would have been exciting. But like you said, that is probably the best Quidditch scene from the franchise. I haven't seen all of them, but the ones I have seen, that one still stands out as the best. And it's obviously a fictional sport, but one that definitely stands out. And you got to throw it in as honorable mention, too. They play a pretend version of Quidditch in the movie The Internship with Owen Wilson and Vince Vaughn. That one also was very fun as well.
I've not seen The Internship, so I'll throw it to you on that point. But yeah, I should have added this in my time machine games for fictional sporting events. That would have been great to see a Quidditch match. I
love that you brought that one in. I think it's a great one to have in there, and I think once again it is a lot of fun. It's a competitive game, and it's a really good scene.
And again, that's the thing I've noticed with like some of these sports scenes. They really don't add to the movie. They don't add to the plot. They don't. I guess you add a little bit to the plot because they think it's Snape that did it, but really that scene, they shouldn't have that scene, but it worked in a way.
Absolutely, that's a good one.
What do you have next?
Up next, I gotta go to the movie The New Guy, and it's not one. It is one that has kind of like a football subplot, but they are battling for like the regional championship there in like Texas, And on the big play at the end of the game, the new guy who had been getting bullied by the best player on the other team that made him switch schools ends up distracting him, and then their school ends up defeating Rocky Creek. The Highlanders defeat Rocky Creek and get the victory for East Highlands in a very exciting football game that was well done. It was a well done scene. And then you kind of see the bully get his comeuppance in that scene as well, losing the championship that meant so much to him.
Wow! Again, another scene. Again, another movie I haven't seen in years. I need to go back and watch this movie. But yeah, this was a great scene. I enjoyed. Yeah, there was a football subplot, but it really wasn't part of the movie, so that's why I'm okay with it. But yeah, that was actually a really good football scene in a non-sports movie.
Certainly was, and I mean the uniforms are pretty cool too.
Yeah, I actually wouldn't mind to have the whatever the new guy's school was. I wouldn't mind having those uniforms. They were actually really nice.
They were, yeah, and I mean even the other school had some really cool like blue on black or blue on black uniforms. I like it.
Yeah, a team that hadn't won in years is suddenly they get this new guy and he does a General Patton speech and suddenly they're the best team in the world.
Exactly. He steals a horse and all of a sudden they can win football games. It makes no sense, but it's fun.
No, it does not. I think they were the same. They look like the same uniforms from Bring It On.
Pretty close. Pretty close.
Yeah, they look pretty close. Yeah.
Very close. They might have just stolen the wardrobe from that movie. I don't know what came out first, but I think it was Bring It On.
Yeah, Bring It On came first, and then was the new guy. Man, that's a movie. Oh man, I liked it as a kid. I liked it when I grew up. Yeah. I liked that movie. I just haven't seen it forever.
Yeah, it was on like a Stars Free preview one morning when I woke up at like 7 a.m. and it was on, and like it was a weekend morning, so I wasn't getting out of bed yet. So I just flipped on. Oh, the new guy. It still holds up.
Yeah, I got Eliza Dushku in a cheerleading outfit. You know, that's always good. Even though we got him Bring It On, we got it again in the new guy.
Exactly.
Yes.
So you're saying Eliza Dushku was the one who probably stole the uniforms and brought him over for the movie.
She probably did, yeah. No, I think the cheerleader uniforms were different, but yeah, maybe she stole the football uniforms.
Yeah. Awesome, man. What do you got next?
Speaking of football teams wearing the color red, I'm going to the football scene in Fast Times at Ridgemont High. You have Charles Jefferson. Really, that's all it is. It's just Forrest Whitaker just being so dominant. I mean, really, he's like LT, Aaron Donald, Champ Bailey, Von Miller, all rolled into one. Like he just dominated that game, and really everybody was just so scared of him in that game, and he had just like this look of intensity on his face that it's just scary to think about to this day.
Certainly is. I mean, it's one that was definitely very interesting. And, it's one of those ones where, I mean, obviously Forrest Whitaker, a great actor, started off pretty much in that movie. And, I mean, that was a good role for him.
Yeah, it is. And really like the non-PC, I kind of enjoyed the non-PC scene as well. They had buttons that said "Assassinate Lincoln" for that. It was kind of interesting to see. I know it was set in like 1980s as well, but yeah, it's just Jefferson just going off because they destroyed his car allegedly, but really it was the Sean Penn character that destroyed his car. But yeah, it was a great subplot to see. And yeah, he was just all over the field.
Certainly. It's incredible. He's like Bobby Boucher 20 years before or 15 years before Bobby Boucher comes out.
Exactly. Yes. He was an all pro athlete. Really, he should have gotten a scholarship to Miami or Penn State or Nebraska back in the day. They should have just gave him he probably got a scholarship in that time.
Exactly. For sure.
What's next for you?
I gotta go with the kickoff return in The Dark Knight Rises. I mean, obviously, you have like the field blowing up around him as he makes this great kickoff return. I like that they really did get Hines Ward for this scene, and so because of that, it's one that's up there for me.
Yeah, and you got to give Hines Ward credit too. Not only did he avoid the defense, he avoided the ground trembling in front of him as well, and he still was able to score a touchdown. You got to give him credit for that.
Yeah, you got to give him credit, and he's the only one on the whole field that avoids falling in this hole that is created by this explosion. So,
Do they win? Does he win the game after that? Like, how does the
the
game?
rest of the game's canceled, so I think it's probably a 7-0 win for him.
Yeah, 7-0 win or 6-0 win. Actually, they didn't kick the extra point, so
Yeah, the kicker's in the hole, so
yeah. Hines Ward kicked the field goal. Let's put it that way. He could have thrown. He could catch. He could kick. Right.
Hines Ward also wins the only football game to ever be decided under Royal Rumble rules, where he's the only person still standing at the end of it. So he wins it by virtue of just being the last man standing.
Yeah, and I love it too. He looked out too. He's like, what just hold it on? Like, you don't hear this ground trembling in front of you?
Yeah. We got
solid effort by him. For me, I'm going with the gymnastics scene in Old School.
Oh, okay, I had that one on mine as well.
Yes, I ended up rewatching it just that scene, and it was just so funny seeing Will Ferrell doing the arrhythmic gymnastics, with the Chariots of Fire theme playing as well, and then you have Vince Vaughn doing the rings while smoking a cigarette. He's just like, it is great. And then obviously you have the giant fat guy doing the pommel horse and flipping and actually doing well. It was just overall just a great scene, and they really didn't need the scene, but they had it and it worked.
Absolutely, it was. I mean, it was so. You remember Vince Vaughn just going, still holding it. The guy from who completes the vault there, the overweight gentleman, is actually the same guy from The New Guy. He was in The New Guy as well.
That's right. Yeah. So the second time he's ended up on this list, but he wasn't part of the football team. He was part of the band that DJ Qualls' character was.
He's still in the movie though.
Yeah, he's still in the movie. It's the second time he showed up on our list. I got to give him props. And he made an awesome pommel horse, man. I mean, I can't do that, but he did it. Great for him.
He pulled it off. It was fantastic. Great work by him.
What's next?
I had that one on my list too, but I'm going to go to the Simpsons, and it's going to be the football episode that they did called Bart Starr. And I mean, there's so many great scenes in this one, but I mean, you have there's a scene where Nelson runs and he just carries Bart and uses him as basically a human shield while running with the football as a blocker. That one's obviously fun. And then you have the scene where Homer basically cuts the whole team. He's like, I couldn't cut everyone I wanted to, but I did cut most of you. And he just goes through and just starts cutting everyone off the team as the worst coach ever and stuff. And it's a really good episode, but I mean, there's a lot of good football scenes in there, and I like the one where, like I said, Nelson uses Bart as basically a human shield.
Yeah, we could have used several Simpsons sports episodes.
Absolutely.
We could have used the hockey episode. I love the boxing one too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, the boxing one, that's always good. We could throw sports gambling in as well. Where Lisa's good at picking teams. Helping Homer
at that, where Mr. Burns replaces the whole Springfield power plant softball team with major league players.
Oh, man! Again, just looking back at it, that would have been a good choice too. That would have been good fictional sporting events. Not only would have been colorized by The Simpsons, but we would have saw all those great players back in the day. Or
only one of them gets to
only one of them, yeah.
Yeah, only Darryl Strawberry actually plays. The rest of them just.
Yeah.
Clemens gets hypnotized into thinking that he's a chicken. Ken Griffey Jr. Drinks too much nerve tonic.
Jose Canseco has to save this lady's house.
Exactly, Jose Canseco. Wade Boggs gets knocked out by Barney Gumble.
Ozzie Smith just falls to the pit of despair, basically.
Yeah, he certainly does. Steve Sachs gets arrested. Mike Scioscia gets radiation poisoning. Ken Griffey Jr. gets gigantism. So, I mean, it's hilarious what happens there.
Yeah, it's just overall just a great or don't forget Mattingly with the sideburns as well. Yeah, just overall, yeah, you could have done so many. I'm okay with you doing the football scene as well, and at a great moment too with Homer deciding what to do with the last play, and he uses an electric football machine as
Exactly.
well. So just overall a great episode,
It
and
really
I
is.
loved it. I loved every minute. I go back and watch it once in a while.
It's a,
Uh,
it's a great episode, and it really does show exactly what those like electric football things really were, because like they never worked right. Like it would always just spin in a circle or like just do stuff that like because it was just basically a vibrating football field, and it was supposed to like just carry your players down the field, but it never did it right.
no, it's one of these gifts you loved having it as a kid, but you look back at it now like, why did I get this gift? This is the worst sports gift ever that I got.
The figurines were cool, but man, they just
Yeah. Well, that's you know what? That's going to be our Super Bowl preview. Okay, we're just going to show an electric football and be like, oh, yep.
exactly. What do you got
Uh,
next?
so next on my list, I got the hockey scene from Strange Brew. Um, it's a film with Rick Moranis and Dave Thomas. They're playing their SCTV characters as Bob and Doug McKenzie. They got a job working at the brewery, and obviously the evil geniuses are creating a new brewery that makes mind controls things, and they were using it on people at the nearby mental institution, and they were and yeah, so they were playing different notes as well, and they were using hockey as well with that scene. Obviously, they're both Canadians, so they had to use hockey some way as well. Not so much as like a hockey scenes, but I would have loved to have like the gear or something like that. That would have been something to have, maybe especially the goalie uniforms.
I gotta be honest, I'm not familiar with that one. I didn't have any hockey scenes actually on my list, but if I did, it would be probably the Clerks hockey scene in Clerks, where they play on the roof of the Quick Stop.
Oh man, I totally forgot about that one. That's a great one. It's probably better than the one in Strange Brew.
It's definitely a good one. That would be. I'll put that as my honorary entry on the list.
What do you have next?
Up next, I gotta go with the future football game from Starship Troopers. And once again, it's like the start of the movie. He's like a high school player, and he's going up against this guy from like the rival school. But it's basically like this weird future version of football where like you have like an enhanced suit that like makes you able to hit like crazy jumps and crap and like go flying 50 yards down the field. Like it's a crazy looking version of football, and it's still a good scene.
I'm not familiar with Starship Troopers. It's one of these movies I've never seen, so I will take your word for it. Of how like with all the futuristic stuff, and that's always good to have like different sports in with like a futuristic tone as well. So I may have to go and watch this scene.
Yeah, you should check out the scene, check out the movie. It's a really interesting movie. I don't know how you haven't seen it, man. It was one of those ones that like came out, I think, like when we first were probably starting to get into R-rated movies.
Yeah, I guess I just never was like very I guess with like guns and like bugs or something like that. I just never was interested in all that. But I know like who the director is, so I may have to go back and watch it.
Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting, like I said, movie, and like once again, the football scene is like the first. It's basically over in like the first 5 minutes of the movie is like the football scene, so it won't take you into the whole movie to watch this scene, but it is like it is an interesting movie, and once again, a very interesting football scene because it's obviously their vision of what they think football will be in the future.
Exactly.
Awesome. What do you got
Uh,
next?
so next on my list, I got the basketball scene from Escape from L.A. I watched this last night, or I watched this scene last night, and he had to make like a layup, a jump shot, a 3-pointer, a half court, and a full court shot, and he had to do it like within like 10-second intervals as well. So, and he had to go from like court to court as well. So it was very interesting to see that. Like like it looked like either Kurt Russell or the stunt double had a nice stroke going, especially with the full court shot and the 3-pointer. He definitely looked like Steph Curry out there. But then like you could tell definitely with the full court shot, like he just throws it, and they had to CGI it going in as well. But it's overall just a good scene, and it was like an escape from basically like an escape from the death as well. But it was just a very good basketball scene.
Interesting. I haven't seen that one. Actually, I haven't seen Escape from LA, so I'll have to take your word on it. I'll add one more scene in there that was one of my like honorable mentions. Like it's not a one that I recall as like one of my favorite scenes of all time or one of my favorite movies of all time, but it's the movie Bedazzled. Or no, yeah, I think it's Bedazzled.
Oh yes,
Frazier and Elizabeth Hurley, and she's like the devil. And there's the scene where he has to be like the 7-foot tall basketball superstar. And so, I mean, obviously he goes out there and has like just this dominating game, and then finds out that he's inadequate downstairs is like kind of his not so good version of this, or why this version of his fantasy was cursed. But I mean,
that was a great scene, and he's like this blonde lunkhead. He's just like, and he's saying all the cliches too. It's like, well, we just got to go out there and give it like 110% and all that. And we're just doing what we do, and there's no I in team or something like that. That was probably the funniest scene. I saw this movie in the theater, and I probably laughed the hardest at that scene. It was either that or the really sensitive guy.
yeah, exactly.
He's crying at the sunsets and all that. Those were probably the two funniest scenes of the movie.
Absolutely. They were definitely like the funniest scenes in the movie. And I mean, it's kind of also poking fun at sports while also being a good sports scene.
Exactly. Yeah. And he really was dominant. Like he broke Wilt Chamberlain's record. He was just all over the field. He was doing behind the back 3-pointers like nobody's business. And he was slamming, grabbing rebounds. It was just overall, it was a nice parody of a sports scene, but they made it so well.
Excellent. Yeah, it was a great scene, great movie. I don't remember the movie that well. I haven't seen it in a long time, but I mean, I think it was a decent movie.
It actually is it actually really is decent. I saw it about a few years ago, but it's a very good movie. There's some stuff that is dated, but it's overall a very good movie.
Excellent. What do you got next?
Next, I got the volleyball scene from Top Gun. Obviously, you have a beach volleyball scene. It really, I guess it helps with like the rivalry between Iceman and Maverick going at it. They just had to have this volleyball scene, and really, it's just like 3 guys, very muscular, and then Anthony Edwards is kind of this, scrawny guy who has to have a T-shirt on. But like, yeah, it's like Cruz is flexing. Kilmer's flexing and all that. It's just really just overall, and it's a very good beach volleyball scene as well, with obviously with a good soundtrack, so that helps as well with the as well.
Yeah, it's definitely one of the more memorable not sports scenes in a non-sports movie. I mean, it's one of those ones that you think about Top Gun, you think about Goose dying in the volleyball scene sometimes. Like I feel like those are the top 2 scenes I remember from that movie.
Yeah, they did their job. If you remember that scene and you go, oh man, what a great scene that was, and they're like, oh yeah, that's right. It's a sports scene in a non-sports movie.
Exactly.
What do you have next?
Up next, I got Spider-Man versus Macho Man Randy Savage, aka Bonesaw Mcgraw, in Spider-Man the 2002 version. The Tobey Maguire one. It's basically when he first discovers his powers and he tries to go win a wrestling match to win $3,000 or whatever to buy a car. And it's him against Randy Savage in like a cage match. There's a lot of chair shots and just shenanigans all over it. And I mean, it's a it's a good wrestling scene. It's entertaining in the movie, and it's a good one.
Yeah, it helped too with the cage match as well. Obviously, that helped Spider-Man a lot. I think if it was a regular match, maybe that would have helped Bonesaw a little bit. But the fact that it made it a cage match, that helped Spider-Man a lot. And yeah, that would have been a good fictional sporting event to attend. See a guy basically climbing up walls and doing Spider-Man stuff. Fighting Bonesaw.
And I mean, the crowd just seems crazy at it because like you have people going nuts. Oh, it's a cage. and like the crowd chanting for people to actually get murdered. Like it's a crazy show or crazy crowd.
Exactly, yeah, and then you have their Bonesaw's valets handing him weapons as well. So it's just, yeah, it was just overall just over the top wrestling at its best.
Yeah, he comes back in with a tire iron or something.
Yes.
Oh, is ready.
Yeah, it's just again, yeah. It actually is very good because it obtains to the plot that with that he needed a car, and obviously that happened with Uncle Ben as well. So that helps a lot compared to some of these scenes that just really there was no reason why they have these scenes.
Or it could be any sport versus this one, like it kind of actually it advances the story a little bit.
Yes, it advances the story a little bit, but just overall a great scene. It was great to see Macho Man Randy Savage when I saw it in the theater. I'm like, oh man, the Macho Man's in this movie. I did not know that, and I got very excited.
Exactly, yeah. Macho Man Randy Savage is the first on-screen bad guy that Spider-Man beats, so it works out.
Yes.
All right, Bonesaw is ready for your next one, Bushy.
All right, Bonesaw is ready. Again, I'm gonna go something crazy with you. The football scene from Lockup. It's a 1989 movie starring Sylvester Stallone. He's locked up in a prison. I watched this football scene, and it was very bone crunching. To help with like Bonesaw. It was very bone crunching. Stallone was really getting tackled and really getting tackled hard too. They're playing on a muddy field. This muddy, grimy field, which probably doesn't help getting hit as well. And then, you have just Tom Sizemore just going crazy as well, doing late hits. He's hitting the thing. I mean, really, it felt like it felt like a Blitz the League version of a prison ball. I mean, it was overall a very good football scene. Like I was like, wow, like this is a very good football scene, and it was just great to see Stallone play quarterback and going hood.
That one sounds good. I haven't seen that movie. I'll take your word on it, but I mean, it sounds like a good scene. I'm gonna have to check it out.
Yes, do check it out. If not, just check out the scene. It's very good. It's well done. Everybody looks muddy at the end as well, playing in mud. So it's just a great scene and a great football scene. What's next?
That's a good one. My next one, I gotta go with the movie For Your Eyes Only. It's a James Bond film from the early '80s, and he basically unintentionally ends up competing in like the Winter Olympics. Because he's kind of he's got obviously assassins chasing him. He does do like a full ski jump in the movie, and then he's like running away from one of the assassins who's like actually like I guess like a really good Olympic biathlon competitor who's like chasing him. So you are getting like a little bit of biathlon and some of this actual like Olympic stuff. Like he's actually going down like the luge at one point, the ice luge. So it's basically James Bond tours the Winter Olympics in the movie For Your Eyes Only.
Well, this is one of the Bond films I have not seen. So again, I'll take your word for it. It seems like a very crazy scene to be a part of.
It certainly is. And I mean, none of the James Bond films in recent years have given me a good skiing scene. And this one is a very good skiing scene. Like I said, he's getting chased by assassins and by a guy who's trying to kill him biathlon style. As opposed to like shooting at the targets, is trying to shoot at James Bond and like chase him off of a ski jump and stuff. And so it's actually a pretty good scene. And I mean, I think it's one of the better Bond movies.
Man, I wish they covered the Olympics like they did like they did today compared to what they did back in the day. Man, this would have been great to see. It's like, and here's this random person skiing down the slope, and he's actually skiing at Olympic record time.
Yeah. He just got an Olympic record ski jump. I guess everyone else should have assassins chasing him.
I guess so. Yes. And here he is going down the bobsled.
Right. And there's also another scene in the same movie where like three guys dress up as hockey players try to kill him as well on a hockey rink. So lots of sports references and sports moments in this movie as multiple sports themed assassins try to kill James Bond in this film.
Yes, a lot of winter sports stuff has happened. It sounds great. It could have been part of Wide World of Sports, And here's James Bond going into the 30-kilometer biathlon.
Right, exactly. He's having like downhill ski and slalom to get away from him. It's great. It's not so much a sports scene, but it still kind of counts because he's basically going through everything you would go through in a Winter Olympic.
I'll allow it. I'll allow it. Give it to me.
What do you got next?
Next, I have the going with another volleyball scene. The volleyball scene in Meet the Parents. Obviously, they're playing in the water. It's like a 3v3. You have Owen Wilson's character, and then you have Ben Stiller's girlfriend. They're very, obviously very kind of competitive, and it's just like you have Ben Stiller being a kind of like a I guess like a sissy or something like that. He really couldn't take the hit. And you have Robert De Niro, and then you have that guy. I can't remember his name, but he's an all-time that guy. Kind of getting mad at him, and then finally, yeah, he's an all-time that guy. I'm glad that you know his name.
Independence Day.
Yes. No, I think of him as the dad from Blank Check. Okay, that's what I think of him as.
Oh, he's the Weasley guy from Independence Day. That's what I think of him as.
Yeah. But yeah, it's just overall just a cool scene as well. And then you have Ben Stiller's character just spiking the ball like nobody's business, and then slamming it to the and breaking the nose of a character, and it's just a great scene. And it's just like everybody's getting mad at him. What are you doing that for? Like they're just getting mad at him for not being competitive. And when he does get competitive, everybody gets mad at him for being too competitive.
Jesus, Fokker.
Jesus, Fokker, what are you doing?
That's a great scene. That's a fantastic scene. I mean, it's hilarious. It's one of the funnier moments of a funny movie.
Yeah, I hadn't seen Meet the Parents in a while, but I remember this volleyball scene a lot. I think it's just remembered because the girl gets her nose broken from a spike ball.
Exactly. I always try to remember this scene. Like if I'm trying to play like water volleyball against someone, like I don't go full. You never go full out on a water volleyball scene because of this scene. I never do.
I don't either. Yeah, you're just like, okay, I got to spike it a little bit. I'll spike it hard, but I won't go too crazy.
You don't want to go all in on it.
What's next on your list?
My next scene is going to be the track and field scene from 21 Jump Street. It's not good track and field, but it's just a hilarious scene. Because, like, he's just, like, he's on drugs, and he's, like, he has no business on the track and field team in the first place. It was originally supposed to be Channing Tatum's character, but they got their identities mixed up. And so Jonah Hill's character is the one who ends up on the track team. And so in this scene, he, like, is on the relay team. He gets the baton, and he's, like, running like a jackass. And then when the other racers start passing him, he starts trying to, like, hit their batons with his baton. And it's insane. It's a funny scene. It cracks me up every time I think about it. And he just, like, trying to, like, win the race by throwing the baton across the finish line. Like, he's terrible at track and field, and he just makes a joke of it. It's funny. I mean, it's definitely horrible track and field, but it's funny.
Oh man, that makes me laugh. Yeah, just thinking about it. I haven't seen this movie in a while, but yeah, it's just thinking back at that scene. I'm cracking up just as you were cracking up as well. It's just yeah, it's just so funny. Just Jonah Hill running, yeah, fat Jonah Hill as well. Running and using the baton as a weapon as well, which is kind of smart, but kind of bad in a way.
Exactly. And then he, like I said, tries to throw it across to win it. He, like, puts it on his dick for, like, a few minutes. Like, that's a baton, Petus. Like, he's pissing off the gym coach and stuff like that. I mean, it's hilarious.
Yeah, just overall a great scene that involves with drugs and track and field. What could go wrong, and they made it wrong, and it was so funny in the process.
It's a hilarious scene. Once again, terrible sports from a sports standpoint, but hilarious from a movie standpoint.
All right. So next on my list, I have the football scene from Wedding Crashers. A very, very, very short scene, but it was really kind of cool. You have Bradley Cooper obviously being a jacked up douchebag. Obviously taking the two-hand touch rule a little too far as well, knocking out Vince Vaughn. And then you have Vince Vaughn just, trying to act like he's Peyton Manning. He's like, hot route, and he's going, A27AB, Owen Wilson's like, I don't know what that means. It's a hot route. How do you not know that? He's trying to be like Peyton Manning as well. And yeah, then he got some trash talking with Owen some flirty trash talking with the Rachel McAdams character and the Owen Wilson character. And then, yeah, you have Christopher Walken too. Obviously a cannon for an arm. I mean, he launches back and throws at least a 35 to 40 yard pass, to right in the stride to Bradley Cooper in that scene too. So just overall a fun scene and a very funny scene as well. Vince Vaughn can't breathing was very funny.
Yeah, I mean, it was hilarious. It's a great scene. And there's also the football trash talk guy, the crab cakes and football. That's what Maryland does, guy. Yeah. I don't know if he ever does anything else, but I'll always remember that line too, because he's like I said, he's like the hype man for Bradley Cooper's character in the movie.
Crab cakes and football, man. That's what Maryland. That made me laugh. Well, I guess really not so much for college football, but definitely for pro football.
Exactly. That's a funny one for sure. Are you on your last one?
I got one more.
All right.
Before our big one. I'm actually going to go to the world of TV. The football scene in Friends when they had the Thanksgiving football mashup. It was great. Yeah, you had the Geller Cup coming back, and it's great. It was a great trophy to kind of look back and see. I'm like, wow, that's a great trophy that they had. And then just like a nice back and forth affair. And they have Joey and Chandler competing for the attraction of a girl. Nobody wanted Rachel at all. And then you have Ross and Monica fighting for the ball like they were little kids.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I like this episode. I like this scene. I think that, like I said, Courtney Cox or Monica just goes all out in this scene, and I love it. It's fantastic.
Yeah, and you have Ross too being kind of, I'm not super competitive, but then he decided, I'm going to be super competitive now. Exactly. Because Monica's being super competitive. It's that brother-sister rivalry that even though they've grown up and now they're really kind of friends, they really still have that sibling rivalry.
Nature's greatest rivalry, brothers versus sisters.
I mean, I've seen some battles with you and your sister. Okay, so
This is true.
Yes. And you see some battles with my brothers as well. So
excellent. Well, it's definitely a good one. And I mean, it's definitely one of the best football TV scenes of all time. Like, cause it's just a really good pickup game that just turns into a very good brawl almost at the end of it.
Yeah. And really for a small playground that they're kind of playing on, they really made the football scene work.
It certainly did. It was well done. And I think, we both have the same scene here left. It's obviously the Naked Gun, the baseball scenes in this movie. It's just fantastic.
Yes, it really takes a good chunk of the movie actually up, and it just a great movie with Frank Drebin being the umpire and saying strike all the time and added some flair. I wish most umpires did that today. And yeah, just all the funny stuff that they did.
It's hilarious. Every bit of it is hilarious. The whole 20-person broadcasting crew that they have with Dick Enberg and Howard Cosell, Dick Vitale, they have this whole huge lineup of broadcasters. On top of the fact that they just have a hilarious national anthem also sang by Frank Drebin, as he does a terrible job of that. Then goes back undercover as the umpire and comes back out, and then again it's just being hilarious. He does the moonwalk after a strike call, and then just vacuums the plate a bunch of times, and it's just once again all over the place in this scene, and it's hilarious.
Oh, don't forget about Dr. Joyce Brothers, man. Come on. Exactly. Really, that commentator. Do you know everybody who's in it?
Everybody in the broadcast booth?
Yeah.
No, I don't know everyone, just because I don't have it remembered off the top of my head.
Yeah, I think it's like
I
Kirk.
think Vince-
That'd be a good trivia question. That'd be a good trivia question because I know you do trivia. That'd be a good trivia question.
I think Vin Scully's in there, isn't he?
No, it's Kirk Gowdy, Jim Palmer,
Yep.
Dick Vitale, Dick Enberg, it's Mel Allen. And then
Howard
Dr. Joyce
Cosell.
brother. I don't think Cosell's in it.
Yeah, Howard Cosell's in there.
Oh, okay. And Dr. Joyce Brothers. And it was just great. They parodied a lot of this stuff too. Obviously, with Drebin looking at all the ways the pitcher docked the ball or something like that. He has Vaseline. He's got sandpaper. He's even got a power sander as well going. And not to mention too, they did all the they parodied all the bloopers as well. They have some bloopers as well where the guy falls down. Oh, they miss a pop up. A guy comes sliding in and a tiger comes out of nowhere. And then,
exactly. Or a guy gets hit by a car or something crazy.
Yes. Or the guy going up for the fence and he gets his head decapitated. And you just have Enberg's look. It's just so priceless in that scene. Like it's just Enberg's look. It's just like, what is going on?
On top of that, like the whole last part of the scene too, where he's trying to extend the inning as the umpire and he's calling safe. And he's throwing all the baseballs in his pocket up to confuse the catcher. And then he's got the one guy trapped in the rundown with the other umpire where they're just throwing baseballs at each other. It's a hilarious scene.
Yes. I know it may be harder to believe, but apparently the umpires have crescendi in the rundown now.
Yeah.
It's just Then you have the coaches as well making fun of all the signs too. They're doing flags. They're doing they're doing the Morse code thing.
He's got a light, a fog light or something.
Yeah, he's got a fog light doing that. It's just they definitely nailed. We talked about parodies of movies on this list, but they nailed it the best because oh my god, it was so funny.
Even the guy running the scoreboard says he's out, and he's way up there in the mezzanine.
Yeah, and you have a guy hitting a home run, and you have 3 or 4 guys crossing second base.
Exactly. The whole time he's trying to frisk them all for a gun too.
Yeah, it's just an unbelievable great scene, and it's so memorable. They nailed that all. They nailed it.
They nailed that whole movie. The whole movie is a hilarious movie. But yes. That scene is the perfect ending to it too. I mean, it's a hilarious scene, right at the end, and I mean, it's such a good movie.
Yeah, not to mention too, you have the stands as well with the queen, moving the beer and the hot dogs or something as well.
I love the part of it too, where obviously they have these really nice luxury box seats reserved for the queen, and then there's 2 moochers sitting there who are obviously not in the right seats,
right?
Trying to move up because my dad always tried to have us do that when we were kids. Was always trying to get us move. We have the cheap seats, and he'd always be trying to sneak us up. And then we get bounced out of there, and then we'd move to try to go over here, and then eventually we'd end up probably by the 6th inning up in the 3rd deck. But we'd miss probably a third of the game having to move between seats.
Yeah, it's just, they nailed all of it. They nailed the stands, they nailed the national anthem, they nailed all the funny baseball stuff as well.
Let's not forget all the things that he's eating during the movie too. He's in the crowd just eating a churro and then a donut and then
grape and a cake.
A whole wedding cake almost, and then he's just eating all this craziness on top of a hot dog, and every second he's switching out to something new. It's hilarious.
Yeah. Then you have a funny scene too, where where the batter lifts his bat back, and it hits Frank Drebin, and he bounces all the way back to the backstop.
Right. I mean, it's unquestionably one of the funniest movies, and then on top of it, you have such a funny sports scene in it. It's so good.
And it ends with a brawl, basically, where the two teams go after it, and it's like a big pile up, and the people are getting thrown around using chairs.
Exactly. It's everything you could possibly want in this scene. It's fantastic.
Yes, it's all we want, and we need more scenes like that.
It is. It's everything. Yeah, we need more scenes like it, but it's so tough to do it that well and to do it that funny, and it was so well done in that movie.
Exactly. I'm just so happy that this scene exists, and it exists for all the world to see.
Awesome. Well, I'm gonna go watch Naked Gun right now. I'm sure if you watch this episode, hopefully you'll go do the same. It's such a great movie. Thanks again for watching. It was a lot of fun chatting this up. Thanks again for joining us this week. Follow us at SP Bushy on Twitter to get our live tweets on this weekend's football games and any other games we end up watching. And who knows, maybe we'll do a watch along with Naked Gun at some point too.
Yes, we could do that. I'd be intrigued on doing that.
It would be a lot of fun. Once again, we appreciate you watching, and we hope you'll go back and stream all our other episodes as well. And we hope you'll catch us again next week.
All right. Peace out.
Peace.
Thank you for listening to the SP at Bushy Show. This podcast was created by Sean Pooley and Stephen Bush. Intro was created by Zach DeMose. For more content, please visit our Twitter at SP Bushy and our YouTube page at Sean Pooley. Thank you again for listening.